Hello and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are
the Yerky
Boys. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm mad at you.
Yeah, well, that's because you're just grumpy today.
I want it to be known. I decided I'm going to make it known at the top of the show that I'm mad and that you are ruining the podcast.
No.
If just when everyone listens to this episode and thinks about, oh, that one just felt bad for some reason, that's why. It's because of him.
No, you just need to look harder at what you've done here.
It reminds me of Rafiki in The Lion King. There's a part where Simba's looking into the pond.
Okay. Yeah, because I said look harder.
Yeah, he goes, look.
That's why.
Harder.
Okay. Yeah. That's a reasonable reason to be reminded of Rafiki.
Yeah, well, you need to watch it because that started to put me in a better mood, but now it's on thin ice because you're not responding to it correctly.
I mean, I do like The Lion King.
Look, I'm going to try to put everything aside. Everyone will see as we go how this goes today.
John he doesn't like how I organized the chapters. He's being weird about it.
I'm not being weird. I'm not being weird, and that's rude. And I'm being the bigger person and putting that aside, and we're going to.
All right, well then let's put it aside. I didn't even bring it. You were the one who brought it, so it's your job to put it aside.
That's because in the interest of transparency, I respect the listeners, and I believe they deserve to hear this.
Okay. Well, fine. I do think they deserve to hear this. I'll give you that part.
Yes, if you're listening to this is what you deserve to hear.
Yeah, I mean, they have no one to blame but themselves, so.
No, they don't. They don't. So what are we doing today?
We're reading book 9, The Secret. There was a thing... I don't know if I guess I'll just bring this up now. So earlier because this is a Cassie book, earlier in the other episodes, you had said, everybody's got their thing, but I don't know that Cassie has their thing, or has her thing. Do you think reading this book that you see Cassie's thing, or because I was thinking about it and I was like, no, I think Cassie does have a thing already established. So I'm curious if you've moved forward on that, because if not, then I will talk about what I think her thing is, and if you do, then we can talk about it as it comes up in the book.
Well, we should reiterate what the things mean,
yeah.
Which was just my shorthand for some sort of a personal stake or vested interest in the Yeerk invasion that goes beyond just wanting the Yeerks to go away because they're mean.
Right.
Something that relates to them personally, such as Marco's mom or Jake's brother.
Yes.
And I do think I think what I thought Cassie's thing was in this book.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We've talked before about the titles of some of these books and how like The Encounter, for instance.
Yes.
Doesn't really mean anything.
I am curious what you think The Secret is, because I'm not sure.
Well, in this one, I actually thought it was fair. It was more straightforward. I understood.
Okay.
And maybe I won't give it away. Maybe we'll talk about it as the book goes on. But I did find that reading it, The Secret, it did help me in almost every aspect of my life: money, health, relationships, happiness. Honestly, just about every interaction that I have in the world. I found that through Cassie and through myself, I began to understand the hidden, untapped power that's within me.
Now, see, I see the problem here, which is that I warned you about this stumble last time, but I didn't do it on air. I did it after the podcast. I warned you about making sure you read the correct...
I don't usually listen to you unless it's on the podcast.
Right, yeah. I should have, on the podcast, made it very clear which The Secret you were supposed to read, because I think... So did this book, The Secret, have a girl turning into a wolf on the cover?
No, no.
Okay, I think you might have got the wrong one here.
Oh, did I accidentally read? Oh, yeah, I read a different The Secret.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I went to the bookstore and I specifically said, I
Hmm.
want The Secret. And
You
that's
went to
what they gave
an
me.
actual physical bookstore?
Yeah, I went to a
Wow.
Walden Books. I went to a B
Wow.
Dalton, and I said, I want The Secret. Like, I was very specific. That's what they gave me. So
Yeah. That's a
that's
bookstore.
yeah.
You know what?
Well,
That's not relevant. We're talking about Cassie's thing.
okay. Well, besides all of that and the wrong book that I read, um, I don't. First of all, no, I don't think there's a secret in this book, and second of all, I kind of maybe have a sense of what Cassie's thing might be, but I feel like it's on a slightly different plane than the other ones I mentioned.
Okay.
But you can try to
Um
characterize it.
well, I mean, let me talk about what I think her thing is from at least the books leading up to this, which is it is I mean, Cassie's an environmentalist, right? Cassie's thing is that it's about like the entirety of the world. It's about all of the other animals. It's about all of the environment. And I think this really the point where this is like made a thing is in the end of book 4, where Axe says the Yeerks aren't just going to kill the humans, they're going to kill every single species other than the ones that they specifically need. They're going to destroy everything on Earth and make it look like the Yeerk homeworld. And like this really like hammers it in for Cassie. Cassie has a much more like large scale holistic view of the whole conflict. Like to her, the idea of the natural world, the idea of the environment and all these other animals is very important. So beyond just the Yerks are going to come and they're going to conquer us and whatever, I feel like she, in some sense, feels like she is fighting, I don't know, for Mother Earth, maybe, in a way.
Yeah.
She says things to that extent multiple times from that point forward. Um, and you know that might have been a little bit relevant to the Stranger as well, with the Elemist.
Um. Yes. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right, and I
Uh
think
huh.
that's an aspect of Cassie that we will definitely explore
Yes.
as we get into this. I guess it's maybe I'm being too restrictive in my definition of what a quote unquote thing is.
Oh yeah, sure.
uh, it still feels like Cassie has made it her thing because she feels it's a movement or something like that she feels
Uh
very
huh.
strongly about that affects her more deeply than the rest of the group.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's just not as maybe it's just because it's hard for me to relate to it because it's not like about a it's much less
Yeah.
it's more ephemeral. Is that the right word? Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not a person, it's like a concept. It's a
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
much larger sort of idea than the other ones, which are very, I guess you could say, low concept versus high concept, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe put a pin in that because there's a specific point where Jake almost calls Cassie out on like kind of exactly what you're talking about. Like there's a difference between this more ephemeral idea and something very specific and personal. Um and for Cassie to have her thing be more we can I think we can discuss that in more depth when we get to that point in this book. I also though think that Cassie's goals kind of shift, and we see that in like begin in this book, because I think that she starts off. Uh, I guess I'll just say this now, but she starts off with the much more environmentalist thing. But as the series goes on, she's going to shift more and more toward like her personal goal. She's more concerned with like saving her own soul in a way. That like you start off with this idea of like, oh, save the world, protect the animals, and then move into like, how do I continue to be a good person, right? This doesn't seem like a possible goal.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I will say this without about
mhm.
trying to be a little vague about my feelings about this book, but I
Yeah.
through that development in this book specifically, I think I at different times reading this both liked Cassie or was I don't know about liked, but found her a more compelling character in this book due to her growth and also maybe was more annoyed by her in this book than any other time.
Yeah, yeah,
I went back and forth in this book. It was a little yeah, I had mixed feelings about it.
yeah, Cassie is a very divisive character for Animorphs fans for sure. There's a lot of people who just can't stand Cassie, and a lot of people who like really like Cassie. Um, and
Nerds probably.
yeah, I think they're all nerds, but
No, the ones who stand Marco are cool kids.
okay, okay. Yeah, that's fair. No, I've definitely gone back and forth on Cassie myself. As a kid I was much more annoyed by her, and then like I feel like I understood her a little bit better, and then I got annoyed at her again as like in my 20s, and I feel like I'm much more on the side of like I'm like with Cassie like right now at this point in my life.
Explains a lot about why I hate you so much.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I also want to say
No.
another thing, which is that if you are an Axe fan, that means you're probably like a stoner dude. Okay.
Hmm.
I just,
That could be, or you could be a fascist. Either one.
yeah. All right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like we should. It's enough preamble, don't you think?
Yeah. No, I think so too because most of this stuff is going to be the
We'll
one thing
repeat
I did want to
ourselves
say
later.
about this book is that there's just going in so people are ready. I feel like there's not that much plot to this book. It's
Hmm.
much more about like thematically what's going on, and my memories of this book are they reflect that. Like there's a lot of different bits in here where I'm like, yeah, I remember they did that. Yeah, I remember they did that. What book was that? I don't know. What was going on? I don't know. As you go through it, I'm trying to like piece together which scenes are from this one and which ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, let's start with the cover here.
Start with the cover. Cassie becoming a wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, girl becomes wolf. Wolf becomes man.
That's right. That's right. Now, it's a very uh nice and regal looking wolf. I like his stocky face or her stocky face. Yeah,
Yeah, it
Cassie
is a
is a
female
girl wolf.
wolf. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the second stage of the morph on this cover that really haunts my dreams.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a pretty good like wolf man or wolf girl. I like that her face is stretched.
The other three basically just look like a wolf. They just get bigger.
Yeah.
But that is the weird one.
Yeah. Now, as much as I like that, there's another animal that Cassie morphs in this book.
There sure
Um,
is.
which is a skunk.
Really got
And
robbed, the skunk.
we got robbed because I don't think we have a skunk cover anywhere. And Cassie, I mean, she turns into a wolf every battle. She could be a wolf on any book.
Yeah. Skunk wasn't going to sell books to kids, I guess.
I guess not. We're in the first 10, so we got to do the
Could have been a
cool
termite,
animals.
too.
That's true. That's true. There's enough bug covers though.
Yeah, too many. Yeah, no, it should have been a skunk. However, at least we have the opportunity to make wolf shirts from the inside cover of this one. Just looks
Mm-hmm.
like Cassie in full on wolf shirt mode.
That's true. This would make a good wolf shirt.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Cassie might wear a wolf shirt. I don't know.
I think that's too stylish
I don't know.
for
I
her.
feel like Cassie likes anime. I feel like she's going to join an anime club in high
I feel
school.
like Cassie does not wear clothes with designs on them. I feel like she mostly wears plain colors with holes smeared with dirt.
Why hasn't Rachel whipped this girl into shape yet? Come on.
She's tried. She's done her best.
I mean, she's trying to take her to Banana Republic, and this girl's just eating bananas.
Is that racist?
Now it is since you said that.
Sorry.
We'll cut that from the episode now.
No, no, no.
Now, all right. Let's go. Start summarizing the book in the order you have chosen,
All
please.
right, all right. What, you don't like these cover quotes? All right,
Oh
fine.
no, I mean they're not. The inside is what Little Red Riding Hood. What big teeth you have?
Yeah. You don't like
Yeah.
the outset, the no place to run, no place to hide. It reminds me of the opening theme from the show.
Wow.
You remember that?
Well, I don't. We're not there yet, so ask me in a year.
Okay. Oh, and there's a postcard in mine in the
Yeah.
middle of
Oh,
the
yeah.
book.
Oh, actually, it is maybe worth saying. Yeah, I read that. I read that that was. It says it's a tattoo, but it's a postcard. Is that
Oh.
true?
I don't.
Or it said
It says
somewhere.
postcard inside on mine,
Maybe it was.
but
Maybe it was something else. I don't know. It's on Seropedia, but maybe it is worth mentioning now. This. There are no more. The last book. The Alien was the final book that got an upgraded edition in 2011 or whatever.
I'm gonna miss the corrections.
Yeah, so now we are stuck with every non-hyphenated Spider-Man. That's our
Yeah,
fate.
spoilers, there are multiple non-hyphenated Spider-Men in here.
So that's just what it
Spiders, man.
is. Sad. They didn't sell well enough. I feel like we could almost try to do an episode about those revisions, but I don't think we're gonna. But
Yeah,
there
who
could
knows?
there could
Maybe
be more to
we'll
discuss
not be,
there.
or maybe we'll be like we could have more to discuss. We could also just be like, we are so done with this series. It's time to leave. So,
Yeah, but it's not time to leave the secret. So what's the secret?
the secret. All right. So in chapter one, Cassie is working on a science makeup project after school. And she has a rat running a maze, but the rat won't run the maze, and she doesn't know why. So Rachel convinces her to morph a rat to see what the problem is, and Cassie makes Rachel come along with her for some reason. I'm not really sure. Moral support, I guess. So whatever. They both turn into rats. Cassie realizes that her rat can't run the maze because it can't smell the food because it's downwind from the fan and all that. But while they're rats, these two boys come into the classroom and they start smashing up Cassie's maze for fun and I guess trying to kill her rat. Um, kind of fucked up. But Cassie and Rachel run up the boys' pant legs and scare them off, and they go running off, and hooray. So,
You know what I love about this opening scene?
mm-hmm,
The stakes have never been lower.
that's true. A rat might die here.
A rat might die if only one of them remained as a human,
Right?
and the whole situation could have been avoided.
Yeah, like were their clothes just lying on the floor because they can't pick up after themselves because there's no humans?
Yeah, they
Like
must
what?
have been. There is no
Uh,
reason for Rachel to join her in this rat. In fact, it seems worse. Like, wouldn't you want her to
yes.
be observing this?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make
It's a
sense.
terrible decision. I did at least like that it felt like some more classic puzzle solving adventure game action
Mm,
of like, oh, you have to figure out why this rat doesn't work. Oh, the
yeah.
fan. We have to figure out where's the switches to the fan or something.
Oh, Courtney the rat, by the way. The rat's name is Courtney.
Courtney, yes, important. I
Yep.
don't know, maybe that's Courtney Love? I feel like every animal has a 90s name for reference.
It could be. It could be.
Uh,
Courtney's a pretty 90s sounding name.
It is, and you do get we start off early with the Cassie moralizing. Like right away, she's like, "I feel sort of bad about being this rat. What if Courtney sees me? Then she'll be scared, and I'm a bad person for being a rat." It's like they're really trying to let you know what this book's going to be about.
Yeah, Cassie's got some issues and she's working through them. She's trying to figure out.
I did
Now,
think reading this
mhm.
that just real quick, Rachel and Cassie reminded me a little of Helga and Phoebe from Hey Arnold.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see
I
it.
mean,
It's
Rachel's
pretty
really
good.
more of a Rhonda,
Yes, that's
but
true.
Cassie's definitely a Phoebe. For all the Hey Arnold heads out there, you know what I'm talking about.
Phoebe's too neat. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, personality wise, she is kind of a Phoebe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I also want to talk about these boys here.
You always do.
Cassie, I mean, not Cassie, but the thing is, um, like, randomly killing small animals when you're a kid, that's like a red flag for being a serial killer. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like, what? It's one thing to come in and break up somebody's project for fun. That's like sociopath behavior, but all kids are sociopaths. It's another thing to be all like, "Yeah, the rat, kill it."
Yeah, I mean, these are some, 80s movie horrible
Yeah,
bullies that are like worse
yeah,
than any actual bully. They're not even bullying anyone.
yeah.
They're just bullying rats.
They're just looking for something to kill.
Yeah, these are some troubled kids. Look, they probably have a rough home life.
I guess. Yeah, maybe they're like Tobias types.
They must be. This is there, but for the grace of God, go he.
Yeah, maybe they want to be turn into rats and live as rats.
Um, that's a Modest Mouse song. Life as a
Mm,
rat, live as a rat, or something. Anyway,
yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
I don't know. There's more. We could just move on.
yeah, we could. I mean, I do. I am questioning also though because I did want to bring it up. Although it's the sort of thing that I feel like I wish was more important throughout the series. It is important, but it's not as important as it could be. Cassie is looking at a D in this class. Um, and I do have to wonder. The boys come in, they smash the maze. Courtney gets away and is like loose in the school. I guess she lives in the walls now. So does this mean Cassie's just getting a D in science class? Something to chew on.
Yeah, yeah, I
I,
guess so.
I do like every time they're just like my parents are mad because my grades are bad because I spend all my time fighting yerks now and not doing homework.
Yeah, yeah. That's sort of the reason my grades were bad when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, same. That's what I always told my parents anyway.
There are some weird little. I notice a lot of times when they morph, they frequently will refer to the attractiveness or lack of attractiveness.
Oh,
As Rachel says, that is not an attractive tail. I mean, I'm a rat, and
mm.
I still think it looks bad. I,
So this is her trying to um prescribe what personas are okay, I guess.
yeah, and yeah, they also talk about how like people just think rats aren't cute because of their tails or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Rats are cute,
yeah.
by the way,
Yeah,
for the record.
they are cute. I agree. But yeah, she brings up how people like squirrels because of their tails, but not rats. So
There's
I guess
also
she's okay if you're a squirrel furry, but not a rat.
yeah, well, like Slappy Squirrel or Sally
Mm-hmm.
Acorn from the Sonic
Oh my
comics.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they know what we're talking about.
Just be careful there,
There's
man. Then.
also I'm not gonna dwell on it because I'm mature, but there is a lot of talk about the smelling of nuts in this chapter. So I just
Wow.
I don't know. I just
So it didn't. That one didn't occur to me.
yeah. Oh well, right. I mean, neither me either.
Okay.
But they
Okay.
sure do. Sure do mention nuts and whether or not they can smell them a lot. So
Well, okay. Okay, good. I'm glad you took notice of that. I'm glad you brought that point up. That would have eluded me.
well, I didn't want to. I wanted to make sure we did not focus on it.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well, let's not focus on it then, I guess.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
All right. I guess we could get into the plot here of the book,
Okay.
not this stupid intro.
Will we? Okay, we'll see. Let's see what that is.
Let's see. Well, okay. So the first chunk, and this one I did okay with you, so you can't yell at me about this.
Continue.
So, uh, so they all meet up in the barn. Um, there is a logging company Tobias and Axe have found, and it is getting ready to start work up back in the national forest behind Cassie's house. And Cassie's like immediately upset because, like, how could they be logging in a national forest? Nobody else cares about this. The problem is that the headquarters of this logging operation is protected by a force field, and they all have guards with automatic weapons. Um, the Yerks, this is Yerks, right? It must be Yerks. So they figure out they're out logging to try to destroy habitat, right? Because they know their Andalites must be feeding somewhere. So if we destroy all the habitat, they can't feed. Um, so literally that same night, the Animorphs go in, try to check it out as wolves, but the Yeerks see them. There's a whole fight. They're like shooting at them. They're dropping nets and stuff. So then they all come back, like, whoops, I guess we almost died. Right? Like they have the conversation, and then they do this, and then they pop back, and it just feels like not that much has happened. Um, but they assess what to do next, and they're wondering like, how did they get permission, right, to log in the forest? This shouldn't be allowed. So, all right, we come back to where we were before they ran into the building, which is we have to get inside that building and infiltrate it to see who is like, what's up? How are they going to get this permission, right? So I just sped through about 50 pages of the book here. This feels like the point you would be at like the 20-page mark in most books, right? Like it's just instead of sitting down and talking about, okay, we got to infiltrate and figure out how to get permission to do this, they threw an action scene in the middle as well.
Yeah, this is really getting into Star Wars: The Phantom Menace territory of trade disputes. That the subject of this book now is how they got permission from City Hall to log in the forest. It's not the most thrilling setup for a
Now,
book.
to be fair, the actual plot of this book has about as much to do with that as Star Wars: The Phantom Menace had to do with trade disputes.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't come up so much. I mean, there are a few tidbits here. I don't know. I feel like this is maybe it's not. I feel like this is the first time it's at least focused on that there's force field technology that the Yerks have. I mean, we
Yeah.
have had shields like on their ships, so I guess it's the same principle.
Yeah. I don't know how often they use force fields. They come up with a better way to keep the Animorphs out in a later book somewhere in the teens, and we'll just see that going forward.
Hmm.
Once K. Applegate thinks what it is.
They
But
put
right now, I guess they're
broccoli all
using
over the
force fields.
place. Kids hate broccoli.
Mm.
And I like that the Yerks are being proactive here.
Hmm.
They're the actors. They're the ones saying, "Look, we have a problem with these Animorphs. We need to let's take them. Why do we keep waiting around for them to mess with our shit? Let's try to stop them first. Let's take preventative measures."
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah. No,
they're
that's
being
nice.
yeah that's it's showing a lot of ingenuity and good planning skills on their part. So I
Yeah.
respect those Yerks. What can I say?
We will see going forward a lot more just like Yerk plot of the weeks, Now, and this is one of the failures of the like episodic format. Maybe it's not a failure, maybe it's fine. But like it does start coming up where you start saying, okay, so this plan is a good plan actually, right? If we can destroy, like they have to live somewhere. If we can destroy that, so if the Animorphs beat them at the end and stop them from logging the forest, like I guess they just go away. Guess we can't mess up that forest. No point in trying to do that anymore. Like why don't we have a bunch more books where they just keep trying to do this
Well,
plan?
it's the
But
Wile E. Coyote problem, right? When I always think he tries to catch the Roadrunner, but then the Roadrunner tricks him. And it's like, well, now just try it again, and this time don't fall for his trick. But he's like, no, I'm going to buy a completely different invention this time.
yeah,
It,
that's true.
it's
That's
the
true.
that's just that always frustrated me. Yeah, it's because they need to. It would be boring if every book was we tried it again.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, you're right. It is a logical gap a little bit.
Yeah, and then like I said, I don't know that that's a problem exactly. It's just like inherent to the because if this was an arc, then it would be fine to fill a bunch of books with this. But because it's like a one shot, one shot, one shot, you're right. It would be boring to see the same one shot over and over. So screw that. That's
Yeah,
just how it is.
yeah. This could be half a season of TV. They keep fighting in against bureaucracy to get their permits.
Yeah, I I wouldn't hate that as much as I should.
Yeah, prob-
um,
probably not.
Now, I do like, and I said I think this is a good plan. I really like that, and it fits well with Cassie's environmentalist shtick. that the destruction of habitat thing is an actually meaningful targeted attack. You know, this idea of like we've got the evil, it's very Captain Planet-esque, right? The evil logging company. But then it's like a real threat, you know. They're going to go off and destroy habitat. I like that. It's like even with all the Andalite advanced tech and alien stuff, it turns out if you destroy the environment, that's you know, with all your technological might, like screw you, you still die to environmental destruction. A sobering warning about climate change, if I may.
You may.
Okay.
You may. Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of Fern Gully.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm glad you get reminded of all these good
I
things.
like being reminded of things. What can I say? Yeah, no, it makes sense that they're doing it. It just happens to coincide with Cassie's issues, but the Yerks don't care. They're gonna wreck the planet anyway. Actually, the Yerks probably would be much better for Earth than humans. Let's be honest.
Maybe I don't know.
I
I feel
mean,
like humans are gonna kill themselves off long before we mess up the Earth as bad as the Yerks want
well,
to.
there's fewer Yerks, and they wouldn't produce many like as much garbage and gas emissions and things like that probably.
Yeah, I mean, if it weren't for the fact that they explicitly want to kill everything that's
Right.
helping them, then yeah, they probably would be.
That's yeah, I guess yeah, right. There's that. There is that minor detail.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know. A couple other dumb notes.
yeah.
There is confirmation. We were not sure about the cover of the last book. There's confirmation here. Maybe we've had it before, but it was specific that Axe's tail can definitely go over his head. Like they definitely shortened
Yeah,
it for the cover of that book.
yeah. Okay, yes, I do remember that.
Or at least I don't know if
Um,
it was Axe specifically or was Visser 3 in this scene? Maybe it was the Visser. I don't remember, but they mentioned
no, Vista
Andalites.
3 wasn't here yet.
Okay, then
I,
then it was Axe, I
yeah,
think. Um,
yeah, yeah,
so that's nice. That's nice to have. And I guess that's it.
yeah,
That was my note.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of just like random unimportant stuff that happens that's kind of fun. We find out that Tobias often visits Rachel's room at night, Cassie says, for example, right? Like it's not
Hmm.
just like he's in there like watching TV and stuff with her, like I guess every night or something. So
Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
fun.
That's pretty fun.
Um yeah, we get a list of all Cassie's barn animals if you'd like to know all the animals in her barn being treated right now.
I feel like I can know that from the past. I know there's ospreys, there's hedgehogs, probably. There's a
No, none of those are on here. I think
well,
the osprey's
whatever,
healed.
whatever.
She's got a raccoon, a fox, two wolves, a handful of various bats, a really cool porcupine, a pair of jackrabbits, a deer mauled by a bear, several doves, a goose, a swan cygnet, a whole group of assorted gulls, a beautiful red-winged blackbird, and a barn owl.
Boy,
So you like all those
how about
animals?
this? And a partridge in a pear tree.
Oh yeah, that even with all the birds. Wonder how Tobias feels about
I'm
partridges.
sure he fucking hates them.
He probably does. Uh,
Was also another mention of earth movers in this chapter. So I just wanted to point that out.
mm-hmm.
That was
Right, I remember that.
earlier book. I was confused about earth movers,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
now I
yeah.
know.
It's good.
Now I know.
Uh,
And there's some fun
there's a good,
stuff
yeah.
where Cassie doesn't like Marco. We found out.
Yeah, Cassie and Margot have kind of an argument about all her environmental stuff in here. Like I will say, it's reasonable to get mad about someone like caring more about animals than people. But it really feels like in this chapter, Marco's kind of upset that Cassie is even upset by this. Like, Cassie's like, how could they be logging in the forest? And Marco's like, shut the fuck up. Who cares? It's not important.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
Marco.
I did also appreciate like it's Cassie makes like a good point about them getting permission and blah blah blah. And after the argument, and Jake turns to Marco and he's like, "Now see, this is why Cassie's a nicer person than you, right? Because she could have been snarky and rude about how she said that."
Yeah. Fucking bros before hoes, Jake. Come on.
You're
That's
right.
all I'm saying. That's all I'm
You're
saying.
right. You're right.
And anyway,
But yeah, yeah. This is not really the heart of the book. Now, Now, what happens next is leading into the heart
this
of the
is the
book, it
heart
turns
right
out.
here.
Yeah. Because after all this, I guess it's. Oh no, I think it's the same night. Cassie, she comes home. Cassie's dad needs her help because he got a call from. I don't remember if it's park services or what. They get calls about injured animals. There's an injured animal on the side of the road. It's a skunk, and it's been badly burned and he needs Cassie because Cassie's so good with animals, and also he is scared of skunks. Yeah, her dad does not like skunks because he got sprayed. So Cassie's got to help him get this skunk. When they get there, Cassie looks at the burn on this injured skunk, and she realizes it's been burned by a Dracon beam, and it must have been burned in when they ran out to and fought the Yerks
I
that
just
same
want
night.
to, sorry to interrupt. I just want to be clarify. Was it a handheld Dracon beam? Do you know?
Almost certainly,
Okay.
right? I would think if it was like a cannon, the thing would have just
Right.
exploded.
Yeah, that's probably right. All
Yeah.
right, continue.
Continue, yeah. But so the next day, she and her dad are hanging out and talking about I guess not hanging out, but they're talking about this skunk, and the dad says that the skunk has kits. It has little baby skunks. And it seems pretty clear that these baby skunks are going to die if their mom isn't there because she's in the barn healing. So Cassie acquires the skunk with the idea that at some point she's going to try to find these babies and help keep them alive. So, you remember whatever book that was when I said put a pin in an important skunk?
Yeah, I've got it. I got the post-it note right here. Important skunk.
I'm wondering if this is the same skunk that Cassie saw in that book.
I mean, it better be. Otherwise, I shouldn't have had this post-it note.
Right? Aren't you happy that I said put a pin in that skunk?
Yeah, I mean, it really paid off.
Yeah, oh yeah. Because now we have a skunk.
I was real excited. I was like, there's a skunk. It's the skunk.
It's the skunk,
It's
yeah.
the skunk. Wow. Yeah. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this feels like it is continuing the thread from Megamorphs. I'm unless I'm misremembering this. Wasn't there also a subplot in there where Cassie felt pretty guilty about getting people hurt through her planning?
Yes. Yeah, and that was also in book 4. In book 4, she didn't like it was like, "Oh, I'm hearing the messages, so I have to decide
Hmm.
if we're going to go out and investigate them, but I don't want to make that decision because if people get hurt, it'll be my fault."
Okay, yeah,
And
so consistent
yeah, and she
theme
did
there.
that. Yeah.
She did it where?
Cassie does do some of that.
Yeah,
Um
she's guilty.
Now, yeah, she's guilty. She does feel Cassie feels very guilty about a lot of
She's an
things.
anxious little thing.
Sure, I guess you could put it that way.
Yeah.
Um,
So here's my next question. They mentioned Cassie's dad mentions that he's meeting with the board of the Dudette Cat Food Corporation. Do you
yes,
think that's a reference to Dude the cat?
I was wondering what is up with Kay Applegate and cats named Dude or variants thereof,
She must have maybe
and
had a cat in real life named Dude. Maybe that's what
yeah,
that
you think,
is.
or like maybe she knew a cat named Dude.
Yeah.
It's consistent.
Yeah, that's too much of a coincidence. Now I don't know if she had a cat named Fluffer McKitty, but
Oh
now,
boy.
I have real life experience with skunks, but I don't know if this is the time to talk about it.
Interesting. Well, I want to hear. Do you have a good story here about skunks?
I could probably tell it in a way that makes it good, but I probably won't.
Okay. I want to hear
The
it.
long and short of it is this happened just like last year, like in the last 6 months or so.
Wow.
Yeah, I was staying at my sister's house, and they have a small dog. He's one of those dachshunds,
Yeah.
and he got sprayed by a skunk while I was there. And it was
Oh man.
like 5 in the morning. I was asleep on a couch, and my brother-in-law is taking the dog out in the backyard, and I'm barely awake, and the entire house just hears screaming. And it was just this poor dog, because he got sprayed like in the face too. So
Mhm.
he had to get like eye drops and everything, and he was like out in the garage, and like clearly it was very sad. Like I felt so bad for him. And it was just chaos the whole day and everything. They were like freaking out and buying everything they could to try to get rid of the smell. So I could really relate to the skunk spraying talk in this book.
That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad that that struck a chord with you.
It did. It's I can't say the chord sounded that good.
Mm. Now,
uh,
now, would you say that that skunk acted like a kid with a shotgun?
it did a little bit. Yeah, I would say that.
Because there was a part in this chapter where Cassie described trying to calm the skunk down as she said it was like I was going to grab a little kid armed with a shotgun, which just like I just was thinking, Jesus Christ, was this written in 2023? What kind of kindergarten shooting are you thinking about here with this?
Oh, it's not too soon for that, right?
Did something else happen? It's always too
Yeah, it's
soon
all
for that.
it's always too soon, so it's fine. Yeah, that's a pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Um, I mean, I did note that Cassie sure seems to want to fuck cousin Philip.
Oh yeah. I mean, everybody
I
does.
don't
Let's be
remember
real about
now,
this.
but and also I feel like this is a reflection of, it's kind of an act of narcissism to be attracted to your own DNA in another person. This feel it's a little like Axe basically in his morph of all their human DNA kind of could be any of their cousins. I feel like,
Yeah.
and
I mean, what you wouldn't fuck a girl version of yourself?
well, we're not going to get into that, but
Okay.
she calls him a strikingly handsome boy, and then later says male, but sort of pretty in a weird way.
Mm, kind of a femboy type.
Yeah, he's a little androgynous, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Just wanted to say she wants to fuck him.
Yeah. I wonder how long we're gonna keep getting descriptions of characters wanting to fuck X. I don't remember if it's continuous or if at a certain point they just expect you to know
There
that.
are a lot of, I don't know if this was K. Applegate, assuming this is what middle schoolers talk about when they talk about other people, but there's almost always at least one mention of how cute or beautiful one of the other people is,
Mm.
if not multiple of them. It's just
Yeah. I could see it. I could see middle schoolers being like, "Oh, they're cute" or
because I
whatever.
guess that kind of determines your popularity. It's at that stage here.
Yeah. Middle schoolers are weird and fucked up though. That's most of what I remember about being that age was just like that's when the most evil sociopathic people exist is at that age. You're at your worst when you're at that age.
Yeah, yeah. Now you
That's all I
notice
really know.
I've started talking about the mall here,
Yes.
which is I don't not necessarily in the order you would prefer I talk about things.
I mean, we can move into it here. It's just I wanted to talk about the skunk and then I was like we can talk about the mall.
Sure, but there's also this thing about the termites. We haven't even gotten to the termites yet.
Yeah, because that's we'll move forward with the termites when we get to them.
Okay.
This is This is what he's upset about because Cassie saves the skunk, and then they go to the mall and talk about furthering the plot. And then we come back, and Cassie finds out the skunk has kits.
Right.
And I'm just like, why don't we just talk about the skunk stuff and then talk about the mall stuff? And John doesn't like it because the chapters are out of order.
Yeah, I just think it makes more sense to speak about it chronologically. So that's all.
All right, well, whatever. We're basically done. Other than the fact that, once again, Cassie's dad is very funny, I think. I like how dadly he is.
Well, she remarks upon him being someone thinking he's hilarious. Jake thinks he's really funny.
Yeah, I think he's really funny, too. Oh, and we get a callback about Cassie's dad. Do you remember? Because they talk about his truck,
Oh
about how
yes.
Yeah, he loved his truck, but then somebody stole it and wrecked it, and he's very upset about that. He doesn't know what happened other than it got stolen and wrecked. And he's very grumpy about the fact that he had to buy a new truck. Although she mentions he likes that the new truck has a CD player in it, but that's the only thing he likes about it.
Yeah, they don't say what CD he's listening to in the CD player.
That's true. But I like the idea that his truck is so old that a CD player is new tech for it. Even I mean, I guess it was the
Actually, yeah,
90s, but
that
that's
was maybe
true.
fairly new. That was the era
Yeah, I
of
guess
the
that's true.
5 CD, 5 disc changer in the trunk. That's what we had.
Yeah,
You had to
yeah.
stop the car to go put a different CD in.
I just like his attachment to his old truck. I think it's good and dadly.
Yeah, I mean, I have another fun note about Cassie's dad. It comes later, but since it thematically ties into what we're saying right now, I think I should bring it up here. And
I
that's
mean, we don't.
no,
Yeah,
yeah, no. I think it's the best way
yeah.
to do
I
it.
agree.
You're right. That's what I'm saying. It's the best way to do it. We find out the sound that Cassie's dad makes when he's examining something interesting. He goes, hmm, pa pa pa, hmm.
Puh.
He's
Puh, puh,
I read it as
puh,
it's a PAH. I read it as a pa,
puh,
pa pa pa. He
puh,
goes pa,
puh, puh,
pa
puh.
pa pa. So that's what he does.
This is the best part of the podcast. We just make that noise over and over.
Yeah, well, it's yeah, pa 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 pa.
We'll release a 2-hour episode that's just us doing that.
Yeah. All right, carry on.
All right. Well, they're gonna. So they meet up at the mall, uh, which happened in the middle of the skunk stuff. But they are going to discuss furthering the plot here. So Tobias has seen termite holes in the wood on the headquarters. And that should help them get through the force field, right? If they morph termites, they can use the termites to get through that force field, which they weren't able to do before. So they're gonna try termites, even though they're a little similar to ants, right? So
Hmm.
Cassie none of them are happy. Cassie's kind of having like a mini panic attack over being one in this bit right here. Um, so yeah, so they decide to do this, and I don't know how much you had to say about the mall.
I said all I had to say.
Okay, okay, cool. So they do. They acquire the termites, and then they fly out there as owls, having acquired the termites. Again, I feel like they should be testing these termites, especially since they know how bad ants are,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, a lot of things in this book are like they find something out and then the same night they just go out and do it. No, whatever. But while they're flying out as owls that night, Cassie is using the opportunity to look for the skunk kits because she knows the owl will be able to hear them. And she hears them, so she's trying to like note the location down. She doesn't tell anybody about these skunks. Um, so they get there and they figure one of them's going to have to make a distraction so the others can go in. So they draw straws. Jake gets the short one. So Jake is not going in with them. So Jake turns into a wolf and is giving them a run around while the others morph termites to go in. Um, so I mean, this really is coming back to that thing that you were saying with Cassie being or from Megamorphs with Cassie being like afraid to take risks, but then also being willing to do it, but thinking of herself as a coward. Because in the scene where Jake is saying one of us will have to be a distraction, he's kind of looking at Cassie like, "I bet you want to do it. Here's your out."
Right.
Right, and they only draw straws because Cassie isn't gonna do that.
Yeah. Yeah. She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to be the one who takes the easy. Well, it's not that she doesn't. It's not that she doesn't. She's afraid people will think she's weak or something. She just doesn't want to be
Yeah,
responsible for someone else getting hurt or taking the more dangerous route. Although I don't really understand why one of these is seen as safer. Other than termites are
yeah.
horrible to morph into. It seems like there's just as much risk to being the distraction.
Yeah, no, that does seem true. But I think that they're all just like traumatized by
Yeah,
bugs and don't want to do
clearly
it.
the ants fucked these kids up.
Oh yeah, the ants did really fuck
And I
them up.
really
It's
like that of all the things that have happened to them, it's not the Yerks that
yeah.
cause the most psychological harm to them. It's just plain ass ants.
Yeah.
The,
I think everyone who read this series remembers that fact. I think every adult's just like, yeah, ants are fucked up.
yeah, yeah. There's no nothing that these Yerks can do that is as horrible as just what an ant does every day in the normal world. it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's really good. Now I did. im- I mean, this is. Are we about to get to the termite scene? Basically,
Yeah, basically, unless you have anything else you want to say about, because there's just like a couple points here, but yeah, we are about to get to the termite
yeah.
scene.
So I get most of my stuff. I think is like during or post termite morph, but there was this changes quickly, but there was a part right away where Cassie says something about like worrying about morphing into termites or something, and I thought, okay, so Cassie wants me to feel bad for a termite now. That's what I'm expected to start feeling pity for is a
Hmm.
termite. Like I'm not
Yeah,
going along with
I'm
this.
so I'm not gonna lie. I feel like about hopefully time wise this isn't true, but it feels like I have about as much to say about the next 15 or so pages as I have about the 80 or so pages leading up to this point. So, and I feel like that, like, because this next part is this next little bit here is really the heart of the story. It turns out.
Yeah, I mean,
um,
structurally, this book is. I, I maybe we can wait till the wrap up, but it's
yeah, we
yeah,
sure.
it's a little all over the place.
It definitely is. But yeah, we can talk about the termites. They morph termites. Uh, at first, there's no instincts whatsoever, right? Totally blank, nothing. It's weird because it's different than the ants, where like their ego was obliterated, or maybe they're resistant to it now. I don't know. But so they figure, all right, well, let's go in. They find their way into the force field. Which is a little bit, the mechanics of that are a little weird, but whatever. Once they get close to the colony, they start acting like in accordance with the colony's needs and desires. And they eat some worker pulp with pheromones in it, because this is how they talk about it. It's kind of gross. And it like chemically takes over their brains, and they begin to work for the colony like machines. And Cassie regains consciousness of herself, but she doesn't regain control. So she's like a human aware of what's going on in her brain, but her body is just doing all of the termite actions. And she realizes it's the queen of the termite colony that has them under control. So she convinces her termite brain that the queen is an ant to get the termite brain to kill the queen. Um, and she murders the queen of the termite colony, right? And that releases them, so they're all free. The termites are like freaking out because they don't know what to do, and Cassie has an absolute meltdown, just complete meltdown. Demorphs inside the wood, almost crushes herself to death. Um, Fortunately, the room they're in when they demorph is empty, so nobody's there. Even though Cassie's like screaming and whatever.
Very
So
fortunate.
yeah, very fortunate. So, but yeah, so Axe can do some snooping in here on the computer terminal. And Axe learns some stuff that's relevant to the plot, like he puts in a back door and he turns off the outer defenses to the compound so they can leave. So they do. Um, what he actually learns, I feel like we can talk about later when it's more relevant, because right now we need to talk about the termites. But suffice it to say, the Yerks don't have final legal permission to be logging yet, and they are working on that goal.
Right.
So this is the heart of the book, which is that Cassie killed a bug and she feels bad. Okay.
Well, it really sums it all up in a way that, yeah. Cassie kills a
Yeah.
bug and she feels bad. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
all right. Uh,
All right. Let's talk about the termites.
uh, let's let's get this out of the
Uh-huh.
way first.
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's a thing that I hope you took note of.
Uh-huh.
Before we get into the real deep termite shit,
I might be looking at it. I'll see if I'm on the same page as you.
is I previously remarked upon the fact that. Oh, by the way, we have an email about this. I'll save that for the end of the show. No,
Ooh.
don't get too excited.
Oh, okay.
Um, Axe mentions a comma on a page of the book, and I freaked out because I thought that was like a borderline, not fourth wall breaking because they do that all the time, but it felt like an acknowledgement that this was being printed and read by someone. And Cassie does
Yes.
it again in this book. She doesn't say comma, but she says a termite is as long as any 2 or 3 letters on this page. Same, pretty much the same exact device. Uh, but I don't know. It just, the fact that it happens twice and it wasn't just a one-off fluke. I wish I could stop bringing it up, but it will bother me every time they do that. So I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, here in my notes, that is actually the first bullet point about this chapter, and it says, "You're just gonna have to get used to it, John."
I can't. I can't get used to it. I want to know, how are they? Are they printing these? Who do they think is reading them? Are these really at Borders Books? Like, what is the deal? It's
Maybe these are they're written in the past tense, right? So maybe these are post war. I think that does not make
that
sense.
somebody found their journals and went back in and edited them.
Yeah. Yeah, these are being printed by Andalite Press.
Okay. All right.
These are the English translations of the Andalite.
I don't really have
The,
anything
the
new.
new high-tech books.
Right.
This is the first book series. They've never seen anything this advanced.
That's why they're so excited about it.
Yeah.
That is also interesting in retrospect that Axe comments on a comma when we later find out how amazing he thinks commas are, I guess, in printed form. Anyway, I don't have anything new to say on this subject. I don't have any resolution. I just had to bring it up because it happened again. Now, let's
Yeah.
talk about the termites. Termites are fucked up. Termites
Yes.
are, in some ways, maybe not as fucked up as ants, but I don't know. To me, maybe a little bit more or equally as disturbing in the way that they function.
Hmm.
It really makes me reflect on like how horrifying insects just are when we have I think of the xenomorphs in the Alien series that are basically just bugs. Like the thing that's so horrifying
Hmm.
about the way they behave as a colony and everything, and the idea of like being subsumed into a non-thinking organism of many parts and all that is just bugs. Like the most
Yeah.
horrifying thing we can imagine just exists everywhere on the planet.
Yeah, it is funny that like in all of our like weirdest, most out there sci-fi, it's almost always just like, oh, this is just like the way that bugs are, or the way that like deep sea animals are, or
Yeah.
something. There's so much weird, fucked up alien shit on our own planet. We don't really have to make stuff
We
up.
just can't conceive of anything more horrible than just bugs. They're
Like Yerks are literally less horrifying than bugs, right? Like there's bug parasites that like lay their like worm parasites that like lay their eggs in bugs, and then the worms eat out the inside of the bug, and they like literally there's like as much worm left in the bug as there was bug, and then the worms control the bug's mind to make the bug jump into water so that they can then leave the bug to drown in the water and then go find other bugs. Like this is a real thing that really
yeah.
exists in the bug world. It's way
Yeah.
more fucked up than
Well, it's
Yerks.
like the parasites in The Last of Us that make them zombies are just based on real life, how like there's this fungus that grows in an ant's brain, and
Yeah.
and like takes control of them. It's just, yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Or is that toxoplasmosis? Is that it? The thing
That's
that you can get if you're a cat
yeah.
owner?
I don't have it. My cats are great, and I
I
love them and do
I
whatever they
actually
say.
don't think you don't have the toxoplasmosis problem at any rate. Because like the thing that they found with this in humans is that like the whole point is that they it actually comes from mice, and they like travel through cats as a vector, so having it makes you like engage, like it actively like fucks with your brain to make you engage in more risk-seeking behavior because they need the mice to be riskier so the cats can kill them. And they have done studies on humans, I believe, and found that humans with toxoplasmosis are more likely to engage in risk-seeking behavior, which does not sound like you. But like it's just one of those things that's like, Jesus, the like parasites in the real world are so messed up. The Yerks aren't even that messed up.
Yeah, yeah, and everything is. Who cares about Yerks? They're no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, they're no big deal. Don't even worry about it.
Exactly.
Just go down to your local pool. It'll be
Well,
fine.
can I just say it's unusually hot in in the East Coast right now, and I can't have my fan on because it'll make noise, so I'm a little bit dying.
I'm sorry about
It's
that.
actually not that hot outside, but it's still like hot in here. It's like 70 degrees, but it feels hot.
It's not that hot.
I know, but I don't think I think that's the temperature outside. I'm
Mm.
saying I think it's
Okay, okay.
warmer in here.
Okay.
That's all
Well,
I wanted to say.
so if you pass out midway through this recording, that'll be what's
It's gonna
happening.
get worse as we get into the summer. I don't know. Well, I guess I'll have anyway. We'll deal with that later. I will keep the listeners informed as to the state of my comfort.
Okay, good. They need to know. If you stop responding, I'll call
Okay.
911.
Well, I have life alert, so it's okay. Um,
Okay.
now let's get into these termites. Now you might be thinking, maybe based on your characterization of Cassie kills a bug and feels bad, that certainly is
Mhm.
a simplification that puts this all into a light that could perhaps be perceived as a bit silly.
Yeah, it's not treated as silly.
And I will say I pretty much bought into this section of the book. This was the
Yeah.
first part of the book where honestly I like woke up and something interesting is happening. And
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I it's kind of this fascinating political assassination thriller
Mhm.
of it feels like the movie Valkyrie with Tom Cruise or something. It's like we have to put together a secret plot to take out the queen. It
Yeah.
plays out very quickly, so it's kind of hard to really take it all in and appreciate that. But I do think it's a fascinating part of the book, and I think it's pretty safe to say for me it's the best part of the book.
Oh yeah, I mean this part is very enjoyable. There's a lot of weird things about how the queen works here that I do remember as a little dumbass kid, like kind of picking apart and being like, I don't know that, like what's going on with that. Like like it makes sense that they're being like chemically controlled, but there's stuff like, oh, I killed the queen and then all of a sudden everyone is released from their chemical control, like even when they aren't around her. It feels like the queen has this almost like psychic presence
Yeah.
in some way in addition to that. Like she's treated kind of as like godlike by Cassie in this and by all the other Animorphs who are not there because, you know, Cassie's got orders to help the queen, but the other ones have orders to go off and do other stuff.
Right.
Um, you know, Cassie describes her as like vast and huge beyond belief, you know, impossible to refuse. She's like, this is her world and we are her slaves. Um, there were parts where this actually legit felt a little bit fetishy, and I wonder if any freaks got like weird lesbian bug slave fetishes from reading this as a kid, right? Cassie's like, my body is weak and pathetic and belongs to her.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean this isn't where I got mine, but I could see
Uh
that.
huh. Okay, okay.
It's also it's not just that she kills the queen. She bites its head off basically. I
Yes.
mean it's
Yeah, yeah, she bites her head off.
extremely fucked up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Cassie's response kind of sells it too. Like you could be like she killed a bug and then it's a but what and she feels bad, but like in addition to just being like she didn't just kill a bug, she also doesn't just feel bad. Like when she comes to, she is like screaming and flailing around. She's like immediately going over to hug Rachel and then like shoving in her off of her and being like, "Don't touch me!" Like she is like out completely out of control, full on actual panic attack,
Yeah.
like to the point where Rachel is like holding her and stroking her hair to calm her down.
And I get it. I don't blame her.
Yeah, yeah, it's
This is
good.
the appropriate response to being involved in a situation this unsettling.
Yeah,
It's dark. It's weird and dark and fucked up. Just what I like.
for
I
sure.
think I don't know if this maybe to me is worse than the ants,
Hmm.
but I don't. Maybe it's just recency bias.
Yeah, hard to say. Yeah, I mean, for me, nothing is gonna really top the ants, but there's a lot of stuff that could, depending on who you personally are.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I do have to wonder, when they morph ants and they have their total ego obliteration, and when they morph termites, they just have blank nothing. Why is the termite blank nothing? How is that different from them not being? Like the termite nothing allows them to have control until they have the chemicals. The ant nothing is a total nothing. Like, is that an inherent difference between the ants and the termites, or do they like they've experienced the ant before, so that section can't overwhelm them or something? I don't know.
Huh. Yeah. I don't know. Clearly, it's hard to say how much of this K.A. Applegate, researched versus had
Yeah,
to kind of embellish to make psychic termites.
yeah. I think most of it is embellished, but I do think the like eating the pulp stuff is
Or
real.
maybe not. I get the sense reading a lot of these, it feels to me like this based on, oh, this is kind of what scientists maybe have projected or imagined it
Yeah.
might feel like to be a termite. And maybe this is just how they're processing it,
Hmm.
like through their human brains. But like they're
Right.
coming up with, oh, it's like a psychic voice, but it's really just like this
Yeah.
instinct or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about how termites work. I do know that with ants, though, they work a lot like this. Like they leave pheromone trails whenever they go anywhere, and then the pheromone trails tell them what to do. So they sort of like form this like consensus by
Oh
group on what to
yeah.
do. Where like they'll like when they don't know what they're doing, they'll leave these trails that say I don't know what I'm doing. And then when they find food, they'll start leaving trails that say ah I have food. And then what they'll do when they're doing this is they'll try to follow the don't know what I'm doing trails from places of lower density to higher density, which will bring them back to the nest. And then the other ants, when they find an I have food trail, will say, ah, let's follow that trail. But if you just put a bunch of ants down somewhere with nothing, they behave exactly like particles in Brownian motion until, you know. Yeah, I know it's
Oh,
exciting.
what? What? What's that? Yeah. Do you ever have
But the point is,
what?
it's a lot like what they're describing termites doing here.
Right. Yeah. 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 Do you ever have ants in your house?
Oh, yeah.
It's the worst because because what
Hmm.
you said, you kill one, but they keep following the same trail. So it's like
Yeah.
that's why it's so hard to get rid of them because they're like I keep being told to come back here. And you're
Yeah.
like,
And they're very efficient too. Like if you just try moving stuff around, that absolutely will work. That they'll go to the place where it was and realize it wasn't there, but then they will find it within like half a day or something.
fucking monsters.
I know.
All right. So okay. So termites are fucked up. They get out of it. He goes on the computer.
Yeah. Is there anything about this computer? Oh, the lumber company is called Dapson Lumber Company, and we find out that Dapson is some kind of rude Yerkish word. So Axe thinks this is funny, but he doesn't tell us.
Yeah.
Like, is it shit lumber company? I don't
Yeah, I
know.
want to know what it means.
The fucking lumber company.
Dapson. Sounds like a noun. Dapson.
Yeah.
Dapson. It is interesting to note that these Yerks have a sense of humor about these things.
Yeah.
Like, do you think
The Pendejo
was this
Lumber
Visser
Company.
3's idea, or is he like kind of annoyed? Like, oh my god, these stupid fucking underlings with their dumb inside jokes. We're trying to take over a
That's
planet here.
a good question. He's probably like, why didn't they use an Andalite swear word?
Yeah, but this is when we learn about Farrand.
Oh yes, it is when we learn about Ferrand. He's the York. Basically, there's like this commission who's going to give them permission to go logging here, and one of the guys has already voted yes, and he's clearly a controller. One of the guys has already voted no, and they've got this third guy who is undecided, and he's going to come up and look at what they're doing. So obviously, they're going to infest this guy or something. So that's what the Animorphs are going to have to do. Is they're going to have to do something about this Farrand guy to make sure he doesn't give them permission to go logging.
Yep.
Um, but that's not going to happen for a while. In fact, I'll
We'll
just
get
say
there
right
soon
now, they're
enough.
not even going to get to the planning stage. Like, they're going to be like, okay, we got a plan for this. Oops, I guess it's already happening. Like, we just don't deal with that part.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we don't. They
Yeah,
some other people get to, in a way.
I guess.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. But after all the termite thing, Cassie is having like this existential crisis about like the ubiquity of war and killing and death throughout nature, and how does she square that with her love of nature and herself, whatever. And she finds comfort in the idea of, I said I was going to help those skunk babies. I'm going to go do that. That's, I guess, what she needs to do to feel catharsis and heal. So she decides to go head out and find them. And she meets up with Tobias, who heard about her freak out in the place. And Tobias knows where these skunk kits are, and he's going to help her take care of them. And it's not, they don't, I don't think they literally explicitly say he did it, but he did, and Cassie knows it, and she is pissed. Tobias ate one of these kits.
He sure did.
He ate one, and she is not happy about it, and it's makes things even harder for her.
Yeah, Cassie and Tobias, there's some real tension there.
Yeah, but at any rate, Cassie goes out and turns into a skunk to raise these kits, and
Not just any skunk, their actual mom.
their actual mom. She turns into their actual mom, and she's like there like suckling them, and she falls asleep, and she almost gets trapped in skunk morph, and Jake is pissed. He shows up with like 10 minutes to spare and is like banging on the burrow like, Cassie, get the fuck up. So they have like a big argument about like, we're not supposed to be out here taking care of these skunks, but she is not going to stop taking care of the skunks. So Jake's like, fine, I guess we're all working together to take care of these skunks. So all the Animorphs come together in shifts to save the skunks. 300 yards from the Yerk base, they say. Is where they're doing this. They're morphing into this skunk and doing shifts. And this is also the section where at one point Cassie is taking these skunks out on a walk just to teach them about the outside world, and Jake's dog Homer comes up and barks at her, and she sprays him, which is what you had referred to earlier.
Yeah. Those dogs, they don't know. They get sprayed because they're stupid.
Yeah. So there's a lot here, because most of what's happening here is just either her describing being a skunk or her having conversations with the other Animorphs or herself about, she's like trying to walk circles around the morality of her life and life in general. Like, she doesn't really know like how to be, I guess.
Now this was, I will say, finally, I was like, I can finally relate to Cassie now that she's disillusioned about the nature of the universe and herself. This is the Cassie I can get behind, I can understand, and I can root for. Is the one who says things like, the color of nature wasn't green, it was red, blood red.
Yeah.
All this reminded me of book 5, The Stranger, a little bit, with all the
Yeah.
existential, inner more or less. Oh, sorry, that was the I always forget. Right, that was the first The Stranger I read, not the Animorphs The Stranger. But yeah, it did.
Oh, I actually think it did remind me of The Stranger,
Sure,
though.
right. Oh yeah, both apply. Both apply.
Okay, okay.
Uh, but
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, this is great. I like this side of Cassie where she's where her soul has been crushed.
yeah. Speaking of The Stranger, Cassie has this whole thing where she's struggling because she's kind of framing uh, us in this natural cycle as like, well, we're another animal, and we're like another prey animal getting slaughtered here, um, by the Yerks or whatever, and if I'm okay with Tobias killing these kits, like why do I get to say we always get to win? So
Mhm.
there's like a whole. I feel like she comes back to the termites here and she says, I listen, I shouldn't have been in there. That was their whole world. I come in, I invaded it, I destroyed it, and I say it's okay because I'm a human and they're just bugs. And like, who the hell am I to say something like that? It did remind me of The Stranger a lot because, it's very easy to say, well, the fact of the matter is they are just bugs. Humans are so much more advanced and intelligent, and there's so much more going on with us that like you can't compare the two. But you could make that same argument with like the Elemist, right? Like if the Elemist comes into our world and blows up the whole thing, like who cares, right? He exists on such a higher level, then it doesn't really matter what we think and feel and do. So I thought there were some parallels there.
God, it's so crazy being immersed in the world of baby skunk care and then just remembering that the Elemist exists. It's like the juxtaposition of the it's just this very they really go all over the place in these books. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good observation, and all that stuff is very interesting, and I like them confronting that idea that and like that it sold me on it wasn't just oh, I feel bad that I'm a dolphin now or whatever. I was like, I get
Yeah.
it. I understand completely why this would affect her and why this is a philosophical debate worth having.
Yeah, and Cassie's like real point, which she says in one of the later chapters where she's just having a conversation that I included in this section that you got mad
Mm,
about, but
mm,
she says like,
mm, mm.
you do okay, fine, right? We're humans. We gotta look out for ourselves. At the end of the day, you can't just say, okay, well, what about all those other? Because like, what about us? Um, but like, you do what you gotta do
What
in order to
about
survive.
us?
Fine. If that's true, though, then the Yerks feel the same way. And if that's true, then how are we better than the Yerks? And I feel like this is really what Cassie is circling around is like, how can I say that I am not an evil person? And the answer is she doesn't have an answer to that question. And that's really hurting her. And this is the foundation of her like moral conundrum for the rest of the series is how can I say that I'm not an evil person? She doesn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Basically, Cassie she's kind of put a lot of stock in her personality being I'm a good person who helps animals. So
Yeah, I mean, you could think of it as very selfish, right?
and yeah, I don't know, selfish. I guess
Yeah.
selfish. I mean, maybe a better word is. I don't. I mean, I said narcissistic earlier, or
Hmm.
arrogant, maybe. Not even. Not no arrogant. Not really. But yeah, it is certainly. She's in some ways maybe more concerned with her own being able to sleep at night versus everything else. But,
Yeah.
again, she is 13 years old.
Yeah.
So,
And And I love that the series recognizes this, because it does come up a bit in this book, but it will continue to come up that other characters will call her out for saying, like, isn't this a selfish way to be? That, like, listen, what's got to get done's got to get done. But then at the same time, the series always comes kind of back and says, like, Cassie does have a point, though. You can't just be evil and say, well, you know what, look out for number one, go fuck yourself. Um, like that there isn't a good answer to this, and it's there is no good or bad here that's that easy. Like, because Jake says here, I alluded to this earlier in the intro. He says, Cassie, this isn't about some abstract race called humans, right? Where you're like, well, the humans or the termites versus this is about my brother, right? Like, I have a brother, okay? And
Right.
you're not condemning this abstract race of humans to die. You're condemning my brother, or be enslaved. You're condemning my brother personally, right? And I guess this is what you were saying about, like, Cassie's thing being more ephemeral and their things being more specific.
Yeah, 100%. Um, yeah, like this is definitely her thing now, I think, as you
Yeah,
said. But yeah, it's very abstract. It's hard to really pin it down to. It's hard to like. It's about her wrestling within herself, but how do you solve? There's not really a way to solve that. Versus, oh, get
yeah,
the yerk out of my brother's head. We did it.
yeah.
Which I guess in some ways makes it more interesting. I mean, there's more to chew on there.
Yeah, that is a good point, is that there's no just like obvious solution to Cassie's problem.
No.
Right? There's no outcome to this series where Cassie's problem is just solved. The way that you're saying, for get the yerk out of my brother's head, get the yerk out of my mom's head, figure out how to get Tobias
Right.
back to a human. Is he even happy doing that? I don't know, but you could find a place where he was. Cassie here, you have to somehow talk about ethics, and there's no real answer for
Yeah,
that.
it's a lot. It's a much larger issue that is. I could see why, especially for kids reading this, it would be much
Uh
harder for
huh.
them to get behind this character because it's a much headier, more cerebral perspective. It's not as fun.
Yeah.
It's not as fun.
Yeah, I mean, when I was 8, I was very much on the "you killed a bug, boo hoo." Like, I get it, you're freaked out, but like Cassie, it's fine. I step on bugs all the time. Who cares?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, but yeah, another issue with Cassie here is she for breakfast has a piece of toast and a piece of pizza. That's a lot of carbs, Cass.
that's a good point.
Just saying.
Yeah, you don't need all
You don't
that.
need all that.
That's
So I
true.
loved. Oh yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
oh no. Yeah, I mean, you can do it. I was just gonna. I figured this was the time to bring up all the like random junk here.
Sure. I mean, basically, what I was
Uh,
just going to say was
yeah.
that I had a lot of thoughts about what we just discussed, and then there was 40 pages of skunks that I could have skipped. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, most of the stuff with the skunks, like, this is just peppered in there, where it'll be like, and then she thinks about it again. But mostly, she's walking around being a skunk. Now, Marco, I like Marco's reaction to this whole section, actually, because when Jake is like freaking out at Cassie and he's pissed, Marco is like being completely reasonable and not joking around at all. He's like, "Hey, Jake, it's cool, whatever." And then as soon as Jake cools off, he's like making gagging noises about how Cassie and Jake are being sweet with each other. He's like back to his all, like, he can turn it on and off, and I like that. I also like how when they first say they're going to save the skunks, he's like, "This is the stupidest thing in the world. The skunks, really? Skunks save the skunks?" But then after they start taking care of them, he's like, "Yeah, I've named them Joey, Johnny, Marky, and CJ after the Ramones, and we need, nobody's going to mess with our skunks." And he's into it. He loves these skunks now.
yeah, it's pretty good. That part's pretty good.
It also kind of reminds me of you.
I don't
Getting like,
see how.
I don't know. I could see you being like, "This is a dumb thing," but then as soon as you get into it, you get really attached to like the cute animal or
Well,
something.
look, what can I say? It's been established. I'm a Marco.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. All that is yeah. That's fun. That's fun. I mean, I personally kind of was thinking I might be interested to know how they managed to hack into this computer and find the guy. But skunk babysitting. I'm glad we got to stay with Cassie and babysit
Yeah.
skunks. So sure.
I like that they set up that there's going to be more computer stuff. Like Axe doesn't just find out; he says like I've installed a backdoor so we can look at more info about this guy like from our home computer too. But that doesn't really happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whatever. All right, let's get to the shit.
Yeah. All right. So the climax of the book happens here. Um, they're so they thought that they had until the weekend for this Ferrand, whatever guy to show up. But they
What a
found
weird
out.
name. Is
Oh,
that a reference to something? Because it's like I don't know how to say it. Like
yeah. I have no clue.
fair,
I don't know what it is.
Farrand. It's just I would think in a book series for teenagers you would just name him like a name that was common or something. I mean, not that it's
Like
yeah,
Tobias.
like Tobias. It's not like so weird a name. It's not like it's not like Escaruth or whatever, but it's just it's the same thing with what was the circus owner who was like something
Oh, Joseph.
Josep. Yeah,
Joseph.
it's just
Yeah,
what are these
Joseph.
weird little. They're just like so close to just being a name I can say in my head, but they're not quite. I don't know how I'm supposed to say them. I don't know. I guess it's just like real life.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to. Kay Applegate really likes to contribute to that problem where, like, weird, nerdy shut ins know a bunch of words but can't pronounce any of them because they read too much but never talk to anybody.
She does. All right, carry on.
But yeah, they thought they had till the weekend for him to show up, but it turns out that he's coming right now within the hour, so I guess we don't need to learn anything about him because we don't have time. We have to go over and deal with him. And they also notice that the Yerks are already logging before he even gets there. So clearly they're just going to infest this guy as soon as he shows up, right? That they were wondering maybe they'll try to convince him or something so they don't have to bother. No, they're just going to infest this guy.
Yeah.
So the Animorphs are like, well, fine, I guess we'll just snag him so they can't infest him. And in the meantime, we gotta slow down these machines, to keep the skunks from getting hurt. Um, anyway, they're there, but Visser 3 is here, and he's here in human morph. I think this is the first time no, we saw him at a
It's
sharing
the first
meeting,
time
but
the
they were
whole group
bugs.
has seen him.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah.
But anyway, just as Farron is about to be taken, they all attack. All hell breaks loose. All these stuff. Cassie is a bird at this point, and she gets shot out of the sky. Like boom, knocked unconscious on the ground. Um, so all hell is breaking loose outside, and Cassie wakes up in a box with Farron. They're both trapped in this box, and the Animorphs are like losing outside or something. So Cassie in the box calls out in thought speak to Visser 3 and is like, I'm gonna kill the human if you don't, you need to stop because I will kill this human and then you'll be fucked. Ballsy move on her part.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, Yerks, they like open the box, weapons drawn, but Cassie has not morphed a wolf. Oh no. She's morphed a skunk, and she sprays all the Hork-Bajir, and she sprays Visser 3, and they're all skunked up now. So, they're having a standoff, and they make a bargain with Visser 3. We'll tell you how to destenchify yourself if you, just leave. And, and that's
And
how
it
it ends.
works.
Visser 3 is like, fine, fuck it. I guess we're doing. There's a great line where Axe says like, "Listen, Visser 3, we both know how impossible it is to remove a smell once it gets into a spacecraft." It's very good.
Yeah. So this is kind of your standard climactic action scene, more or less.
Yeah.
I was wondering about the logistics of this. They only need 3 people to okay the destruction of this entire forest. Is that standard? Is that a normal?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, what is up with this? And what is up with the guy on the commission who isn't sure yet? He doesn't know if he's gonna okay
He's
the
the guy who
logging.
doesn't know who he's voting for yet, right? He's the
Yeah. What's his name?
Ken Bo, yeah.
Ken
I wasn't even
Bone.
thinking of a specific guy, but yeah, he's Kenneth Bone. Yeah, so
That's how I'm picturing
yeah,
him
that
now.
it's just again, it's strange that any of that was introduced into this world. It's I don't I find it odd that that's the kind of the centerpiece of this book and also not relevant at all in some ways.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter. I mean, this is part of the problem with me remembering all these things, but not what book they came from. Is that I'll just it's like, yeah, the plot of this book doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of like I remember this, and I'm like, yeah, Cassie morphs the skunk. Is that in the one where she sprays Visser 3? Probably they're the same one. Was which book was that? Well, I know it's not 14 because some stuff happens. I know it's not 19 because some stuff happens. After that, it gets too late. Must be 9, I guess. I don't know.
Your brain works in very special ways. I do like Tobias and Cassie as a team together. I think they're a very interesting pair. And this is sort of building off of what we were talking about in the last section. But
Hmm.
there's a part where
Hmm.
Tobias says, "Would it be better if I let you do my killing for me? Is it more moral if I eat a frozen mouse you get from some supplier, than if I do my own hunting?" And
Yeah,
again, it kind of reiterating those themes, but I did really like that the dichotomy of the two of them, the predator and the protector of animals, basically.
yeah, no, it's nice. And I also do like that Cassie apologizes to him because when she first talks about him, or when she first finds out he killed a skunk, she is like pissed and she's treating him all cold. Like I like that she
Yeah.
turns around and apologizes, but I also like that Tobias doesn't give an easy answer and say, "Well, I'm a predator. I have to kill." He's like, "No, I don't have to. I don't have to kill. You could feed me random chunks or whatever, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go hunt. Like I'm gonna hunt. That's who I am."
Yeah.
It does actually kind of remind it's like with me where it's just like, is it moral to eat meat? I don't know, but I'm gonna. Like I don't need to. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We are a lot like red-tailed hawks in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Now, I
That's
don't
true.
know how nobody was looking in this box when Cassie morphs into a human and then a
They
skunk.
really like to put them in opaque boxes and not look at them. Like you'd think that he's always like, be careful when you open it because they could be a bug. If it was transparent, you could tell if they turned into a bug.
Yeah,
You'd
and
see him
can't
doing
they?
it.
They elaborated on this technology that literally serves that function to make the walls transparent or not.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
it's and also it must have taken her, according to what we know, at least like 5 minutes to morph back to human and then into a skunk.
yeah, yeah. They easily could have seen it all happen. Uh, Oh, I like that when they're like, "Oh, we know we have the superior and like chemical tech to tell you how to destensify yourself." One of Visser 3's human controllers says, "Oh, hey Visser, my guy knows how to do that actually." And Visser 3's like, "Shut up, I don't want to listen to you. Fuck you." He's
Yeah,
kind of an Andalite chauvinist type guy.
yeah, he's funny. He is very funny. Let's talk about this.
Yes.
They win by spraying everyone with the skunk, and
Yeah.
and they agree to stop so that they can de-smell themselves. They make
Yes.
a deal with them.
Yes.
Now, I will just say I did I found this section very funny.
Hmm.
I laughed out loud. I thought it was I thought it was very funny when the Hork-Bajir say Hruntgahal stink R and reeking Fernalgahal. It's funny that they
Mm-hmm.
are just as affected by the skunk smell. That's how bad it is. It's very funny. However,
It is good.
we are really running a risk here of turning Visser 3 into Team Rocket. This is
Yeah, that's
they
true.
really if they're willing to compromise on this, they have now really become so much more goofy and potentially non-threatening in demeanor compared to every other time we've seen them. It feels like it's very funny in the moment, but it's in the long term, I feel like this probably should not have happened. I feel like this is damaging to the overall danger of these books.
Yeah, I agree that this is a running problem with Visser 3 where they kind of want to have it both ways, where sometimes he's this terrifying monster and sometimes he's this dumb villain of the week joke character. And
Mhm.
it really, I do think this is a problem.
It should have. It
um,
would be very easy, I feel, to just make it have Visser 3 delegate.
yeah,
If all of the people working under him are dumb and he's just not there, then I can accept it.
yeah, you could have written some more henchmen for him here.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I have a note in here that says, like, is this the first, quote, stupid, unquote, book? Because I think there are a lot, as we go on, there are going to be more and more books that you'll be like, this is a stupid book. This is not a serious book. This is a silly, dumb joke book. And, like, those are fun too, but they're not necessarily yeah. Uh, Most of this book is not that. Most of this book is Cassie struggling with ethical concerns. But the ending here, the main plot, the Visser 3 gets sprayed by a skunk, haha. The main plot's just a setup and punchline, basically.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe do you want to just run through the end and before we
Oh yeah, yeah, because there's another punchline here. At the very end, the skunks get their mom back. Woo. Ferrand is okay, and he's not infested, and he's not gonna let them go logging. And we find out that they lied to Visser 3. They told him it was grape juice, not tomato juice. Hee haw. So he's soaking in the grape juice and turning purple, but he doesn't de-smell.
which again, it is very funny.
Yeah. Now, you know what? I am gonna say, Visser 3 held up his end of the bargain here.
He
You
really
got
did.
assholes. Like he didn't even like. He could have gone and reinfested Ferrand when he's like in the hospital afterwards. They check and he doesn't. These guys. They suck. What a bunch of dicks. I
Yeah,
could have just told him.
this could have been. This is the thing now that he's like, I was maybe a part of me was reconsidering my thoughts about the Andalites, but after this, fuck them. They're dead to me. Yeah, yeah. And I also there's also a kind of they try to wrap up Cassie's moral quandary when Jake says at the end, "I know one thing. All the animals take care of themselves, but only one animal has the intelligence and the power to help save all the other species." Cassie says, "You're pretty smart sometimes, Jake." I don't know about this. This feels like a little like Ayn Rand kind of like the
Hmm.
most it's the responsibility of the best people to take care of the weaklings. I don't know. I don't know. It just didn't feel like quite the way I think the lesson should be characterized from this
I
book.
do I do agree with that. I think that you want this to read more like with great power comes great responsibility. Like because we have the capacity to control the entire environment and protect or destroy, we have to use it responsibly. It's like our duty in that sense.
Mm.
Rather than just like, oh, we are the protectors, we are the one species with the power to do it kind of thing.
Yeah, which feels like it goes against some of Cassie's issues, but I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it would be good if instead of humans being like, let's look out for number one, how can we maximize our own survival rates? If we did think of ourselves more as like guides and protectors, like if we, but more like that than like, the saviors. If we were more like,
Yes.
whales are pretty smart. What if we guided them to being, uh, like we went in there and actually tried to interact with them as like a society and like have equal societies or something like that, or like take care of like the elephant environment until they can evolve into an equal or something like this. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, the prime directive kind of.
Yeah, sure, the prime directive kind of, why not?
Okay, now the book as a whole, I suppose, as you said, is this a stupid book?
Yeah. I mean,
This is definitely, especially in the first half, I feel like there was way more filler in this than any other book. Even Megamorphs. There was
mhm.
so many scenes of stuff that we have pretty much seen before in slightly different ways of that was just what it feels like to morph and what it is to be
Yeah.
this thing now and what are going to the barn and having a plan. This really felt to me like the first filler book. And I
Mm-hmm.
suppose the Cassie stuff is pretty important, but it's also, as you said, kind of just re-emphasizing things we already knew. Maybe doing it a little better here than other times, but it so much of this book just felt like this is almost what I a lot of times expected more of these to be like, to be honest.
Yeah.
And every book seems to surprise me by just out of nowhere being like, oh, there's actually a really important plot development. This almost feels like the first book that did not have that. it was just a little adventure, basically. Even it feels to me even less important than Megamorphs. Like I feel like this is less essential. But
Hmm.
in terms of at least like the plot, like I don't know, or, like I don't know, the
Fair.
stuff with
Yeah.
like Rachel's amnesia and the Valik to me was felt more dramatic and more important than this. Just everything in this really just feels like I don't need to know this about these skunks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think we're starting to enter into the era of Animorphs where some of the books are this kind of filler, and some of the books are incredibly important, and some of the books feel like they should be incredibly important, but they're actually just filler. I feel like you're going to be surprised by a lot of books out of nowhere in this upcoming stretch. You're going to be like, I thought maybe this would be another dumb book, but nope, it was crazy. Or I thought this was going to be another dumb book, but nope, it was crazy. But wait, does this ever come up again? Oh, it doesn't? Oh, huh. Or or like, oh well, this was, I kept expecting something to happen and then it didn't. um we're gonna get into that stretch here, and to be fair, some of my favorite books are dumb filler books that don't matter,
Sure.
because they will, some of them are great, but I do agree with you. I mean, part of me not remembering which exact things happened in this exact book all the time comes from that point. They did this at some point, but when was that? I don't know. um I do think this book is more important to the series as a whole, not because of any of the things that happen in it, but because of how much of what's going on with Cassie as a character is established here. If they
Yeah.
didn't have character specific books, they could have spread that out through all the books, and we wouldn't need this one. Like if you were adapting
Yes.
it, you could probably just cut this story entirely, unless you wanted the skunk episode because it was funny. But
Yeah, I felt that a lot in this book. That, like, again, the part where she's taking care of skunks for a long time, I feel like I just needed a cut to adventures of Tobias and Axe hacking computers. Like
mhm,
you could have, I think you could have made this book so much better if you didn't have to only be in Cassie's perspective. Um,
mhm.
but that's the gimmick, and they're stuck with it. But and again, like you said, like that, there's like 30% of this book that I think is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but by and large, it's definitely easily my least favorite so far of the series.
Yeah, I don't know that that's true for me because I like the parts that I like so much.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's one of the lower ones for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, we'll see how we, at some point we'll probably go back and say like, oh, what's like a ranking of these or
Oh
something like
man, we
that.
should
But
make tier lists.
ooh, that's a smart idea. That sounds good. One thing that this book made me think about, um, or maybe the response to Cassie by readers made me think about, is because people do get very upset with Cassie. Like Marco gets very upset with Cassie, and some readers get very upset with Cassie, and it makes me kind of wonder, like, um, why is it so infuriating to be wrong or inconsistent or not be sure where you stand with regard to ethics as opposed to with like facts? Like, because if the Animorphs are just trying to figure something out and one character's just dumb, there's going to be some nitpicky nerds like that doesn't make sense, but nobody's really holding it against them. But if one character's like, I feel like ethically there's this, but then they themselves are hypocritical, right? Cassie the hypocrite. She feels bad about killing a bug, but then she goes and kills Horde. Like that really makes people mad, and I don't know. I was wondering if it has something to do with the fact that there's like an inherent mandate to ethics in some sense. Like if I disagree with you on the facts, then you're just wrong. But if I disagree with you on ethics, then you're telling me that I'm a bad person who lives my life wrong.
Mm.
I don't know that Cassie's doing that in these books. I feel like Cassie is very much coming from a position of I don't know what I should do, and maybe you shouldn't be so certain about what you should do either. But I feel like that's the strongest mandate she has. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's maybe hard to separate that out because when you're in her head for 200
Uh huh.
pages, like you just have her talking about it so much that you can just it feels. I think you're probably onto something with the fact that you might feel like you're being judged
Hmm.
for your choices in that regard, and maybe it's also maybe a little sexism. For me it is. For me it is.
Okay, that makes sense. Um, a lot of this, it's funny, does reflect it. Like it's similar to debates about vegetarianism, and I do keep coming back to the fact that I swear Cassie eats burgers later in this series, and that just seems so out of like you would think that if she has all these ethical debates here, it at some point it should come back to her being a vegetarian or
They
something.
did specify
Maybe,
that she ate a slice of veggie pizza.
yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she
I think
is,
we had
but
this
I swear
conversation
she eats a
earlier.
burger.
I
Yeah.
think there was I think there was an earlier book where we talked about her eating meat maybe.
There is a specific instance where I swear she eats a burger, but I could be wrong, and I am going to be hawk-eyed for it. I'm going to be Tobias-eyed for it
Oh,
when
okay.
it shows up.
I thought you were talking about uh I can't remember his fucking name. Hawk.
Oh, the Clint?
Yeah, that's right. Clint Barton.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Anyway,
welcome.
let's. I don't know. Do you want to do this email?
Yeah, I want to hear this
All
email.
right, now time for the sharing section.
Yeah, the sharing,
This
where we share what you said.
this email's from Greg.
Oh,
I told you not to get excited.
what a loser. Greg's the guy we know in real life, so I don't care about
The
him.
subject line is
I do.
commas. Greg writes, in the Megamorphs 1 episode, you said that the smaller than a comma on this page remark is evidence that the narration has been published in universe. But is it possible that the text had been handwritten or printed out without ever being made available to the broader public? Stop and think about that.
So, like, this is their diaries or something.
Yeah, which I feel like we kind of floated that possibility. And I guess that has to be for me. That has to be the headcanon. Except here's the problem. Like then, if that's true, why all this business about I can't tell you who I am or where I live?
True,
If your
true.
plan is not to release this to the public, like that, the only reason that exists is if this is in bookstores now.
Yeah. It does. I mean, if you have a diary, that's a security risk. Like, they shouldn't be keeping diaries of this shit. Because what if somebody. Maybe that's the idea is that if somebody finds this diary, but they don't find it in my room because I accidentally left it on the bus, then they won't know who it belongs to.
Yeah,
I don't know how this
it's
happens.
also the fact that it would be one thing if it was like just Jake writes all the books. And then maybe I
Yeah.
could buy but the fact that each of them in this hypothetical is keeping their own diary, and what did they all get together to discuss like the syntax of we should probably start all of them with our names and that we can't tell anything about ourselves, right? Yeah, let's establish a
Yeah.
pattern for that.
They all had to sit down. It's okay to keep a diary so long as.
Like it's now Cassie, I feel like you went through some shit with the skunks this week, so why don't you write about this one? You
Yeah, I
take
don't
this
really
one.
care about what happened this week. Rachel's diary entry just says Cassie had a fucking meltdown. Oh, Marcos said something about Cassie. Or that's what it would be in his diary. What did he say? He
Oh, it's good we finally found out that she's crazy too. Is it that
Oh,
part?
I was thinking where Tobias says that Marco said that she was insane, Looney Tunes, and wacko, but in the nicest way possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's like a shared journal and they just have a rotation. Like it's your turn to write this week. It's a little activity they have together. It
Yeah,
all
this
seems
is
very misguided on their part. But thanks, Greg, for the email. If anyone wants to
yeah.
email
Thanks,
us, you
Greg.
can email us at theerkyboys@gmail.com. We'll read it on the show. But we still didn't get to
Yeah.
pop culture references. So,
No, we didn't. I just want to say, you know what, Greg, for all of my being like, yeah, thanks. I love that you're listening to us.
yeah.
Keep doing it. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
And everybody else who's listening to us, I love you too, and please write us and we will read it.
I would say that to everyone, but to Greg, I would say fuck you.
Okay.
All right, pop culture references. We have
Yeah.
reference to guys the size of Godzilla when they're in rat form.
Ooh, I didn't even remember that
Yeah,
one.
we got another Godzilla ref. Of course, Rachel mentions Banana Republic and Express when she's making fun of
Mm-hmm.
Cassie's outfit. We get a couple of references to Rachel being like Xena Warrior Princess, only
Mm-hmm.
without the leather. Um, we also say that Rachel could walk through the mosh pit at Lollapalooza and come out looking like one of those models in Glamour.
So Lollapalooza and Glamour.
Yeah, double whammy.
Boom.
Another joke about fashion being part of the Ralph Lauren animal poop collection. So
That's a good joke.
pretty funny. Multiple discussions between Marco and Jake about whether or not Batman could beat Spider-Man, which I feel like has already happened in other books. I think that's been used
I,
before.
yeah, I agree. I think that Jake is right in this argument.
I don't whose side is who on.
Unless I've messed it up, I think Jake says that Batman would win because Spider-Man's webs wouldn't stick to Batman's body armor.
As usual with these things, it depends on who's writing the comic. But
That's fair.
I probably Batman would win, but I think it's close.
Okay.
If there was
I hope I didn't mix up who said
if
what.
there was a hyphen, well, maybe Greg will let you know.
Oh, that's true.
Somebody, I think it's Marco, says I was spam back there. Spam
Oh, there's a
reference.
reference to Wolfman too. I've got before
I
spam.
wasn't sure if that was a reference or if he was just saying like I'm like a wolf man, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I think Cassie is like Wolf Girl or something.
But yeah, the wolf couple they say together.
The
So
Wolf
so
couple.
it's good
Yeah,
that it's good to note.
yeah.
Uh,
But spam.
Marco talks about that it wasn't to save Bambi
Oh
or
yeah.
whatever.
Why they're Animorphs? It
Yeah.
wasn't.
Now this one I wasn't sure if it was a reference. They refer to the like logging headquarters.
Hmm.
He calls it the Fortress of Doom,
Hmm.
and I believe it's capitalized.
I
And
think it is too.
I looked this up, and there is a Fortress of Doom in the Doom games, and we do know that they love to play Doom. However, I didn't dig too deep into it. I'm not a Doom connoisseur. The only direct appearance of it I could find is in a later Doom game that was definitely not out when these books were written. So
See, I had assumed that this was something that Doctor Doom had that I hadn't heard of before, but was just in the.
interesting. My other theory was that it was just a riff on Fortress of Solitude. It's the
Could
Fortress
be.
of Doom. Yeah, maybe there's a Fortress of Doom that Doctor Doom has. They do like to reference the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Marvel. Let's see if there's a no.
Typing.
No, Doctor Doom has a Castle Doom. I don't see anything about a Fortress of Doom. So
Hmm. Maybe she just got confused.
I don't know.
Because I mean, like, Marco would have I mean, I guess he would reference Doom or the Fantastic Four. Those are both things he would do.
Yeah. Anyway, Cassie's mom has
Yeah, I
a
don't know.
6-pack of V8 juice for the
Yep, for
skunks.
in case they get sprayed.
Of course, the mall. We referenced the Limited, Banana Republic again, the Gap, and Express again.
Now, I have a note here. It says, uh, Rachel seems more consistent in her love of shopping than Marco's love of Letterman. Because we stopped Marco's Letterman for a while. We're gonna get a
We're gonna
Letterman
get a
later on, but
Letterman. You're getting ahead of yourself here.
we did stop for a while
That's
here.
true. There's
But Rachel's always at the same stores.
hardly a book that does not mention these 5 stores at the mall. There is a reference to Yahtzee. The quote you said earlier about Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes is
Oh yeah,
capitalized. So,
right, right.
and yes, as you said, Marco describes Cassie as Dr. Doolittle and that animal guy who comes on Letterman all rolled into one.
Mm.
And this time, Dr. Doolittle, I had it spelled correctly, by the way. Or no, yeah.
I think I had it
No,
wrong
wait.
in
Now I
mine.
forget which way was right or wrong. No, 2 O's is wrong.
2 O's is
Oh,
wrong.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wrong. Sorry. See, this is why I need the revised editions. I can't keep track of what's right and wrong.
Yeah, now we won't know if there was a mistake.
I
Now
know.
I was thinking about this, and I guess he still is watching Letterman because I was starting to wonder if maybe now that his dad has started parenting again, he wouldn't let Marco stay up to watch it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess he's sneaking it somewhere once in a while.
Yeah,
Or I mean,
got to get his
he
Letterman
just
fix.
remembers that animal guy. You know, he
That's
comes on all
yeah.
the time. He might still not be
Marco can
watching.
turn into a bug. His dad can't stop him from watching Letterman.
That's right.
I think Marco actually mentions in this, my dad thinks I joined a gang because I'm never around it at night.
All right, we referenced the World Almanac and the Olympics. I don't,
Yep.
whatever. Lean cuisine, frozen mouse entrees is a joke. You already said the Ramones, that the skunks are
Mm-hmm.
named after. A Jeep. There's a
Oh,
Jeep.
I forgot that a Jeep is
Yes, the logging guys in a Jeep.
hmm.
And finally, the Hork-Bajir I have are described as Stegosaurus meets Klingon. So once
Yeah,
again, there's more Klingon Star Trek stuff.
lots of Klingon stuff. Now there is one thing I found interesting. I don't know if this is true, but Jake mentions looking up info on the internet at some point here.
Whoa.
Is this the first mention of the internet in Animorphs?
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. It must be.
I don't remember them looking up any information on the internet before.
Wow. Yeah.
I threw that in my references. I don't know why I didn't throw that in the section where it happened, but
No, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. The internet, it's becoming a thing. Now, I also had
becoming a
one other
thing.
question before we wrap up. That's pretty important.
Mm-hmm.
If you get sprayed by, well, I guess clearly it's not true, but I guess I'm sort of wondering about the logistics of this.
Yeah.
If you get sprayed by a skunk and you morph into something else, couldn't the the smell stays on you?
That's a good question. Here's the other question. Was Visser 3 still in human morph when he got
I
sprayed?
assume he
Do you
was
think
Andalite.
I assumed too. You'd
Oh
I
wait,
guess he
actually I don't
cuz
know.
he was human, but it would make sense for him to have demorphed because all the shit was going down.
Yeah, I'm not really sure actually. I think maybe he was, but surely he would have tried that. So presumably in universe you keep the smell, but the smell is not part of the animal's DNA.
Yeah, and it's outside too. It's like on you. I don't know.
Right, and maybe you could be like, well, the smell particles would remain, but you could, I don't know. I feel like you could at least get rid of it by running fast away or something. But I don't know. Maybe the smell stayed. I don't know the science here. Just asking the
Yeah.
questions.
Seems like the smells must stay.
At least according to these books that they do. But
Yeah.
does that mean that every night these kids are coming home and they smell like the forest or a cave or a or they just smell like if you morph dogs have a smell. If you morph a
Mm.
dog and you morph back, you still smell like a dog?
Because you let off all your dog stench as a dog, and now,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think that is true. Like I don't think that
You think a
happens.
dog can smell if if you've morphed from a human into a dog? Like, do you think
Right.
they could, like, if you ran up to another dog, they'd be like, "This dog smells like a
Yeah, that
human,"
doesn't seem to
or
be
do you
the
think they just
case.
think you played with the
When
dog?
they turn into a bug, none of the other bugs are like, "Oh, that's a weird bug." They accept them into the colony immediately, and they're all
I mean, I
about
guess you can
smell.
handle bugs and they don't get. I don't know.
Yeah, but they don't think you're a bug. I don't know. There's some inconsistency here, and I need the listeners to write in to clear it up for us.
Okay.
So if you
Yeah,
could
please do.
email us at theyerkyboys@gmail.com or tweet at us at theyerkyboys on Twitter. And you can follow me on Twitter at Quentz, or listen to my other podcast where I debate things related to the world of geekdom. That is called Geeks on Trial, and it's available on all podcast networks or on YouTube.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at DogTimesMcGee.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time when we'll be discussing Book 10, The Android, in which Marco turns into a spider on the Yerky Boys.
By the way, I forgive you.